Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Assalamu alaikum is the peace that God gives. May it be unto you. Welcome again to New Africa Talks. We're coming to you live from, again, Harlem, New York. This is an internet program dedicated to the promoting the concept of New Africa. Imam W, Deen Mohammed's vision and direction for Muslim African American community life. My name is Hakeem Sabri. I'll be your host and speaker for this afternoon. This program has as its focus mainly for students of Imam W, Deen Mohammed. And what we mean by students are those who identify Imam Muhammad as their teacher and their leader. Well, before we go further, we always like to explain the definition of students so that we can be clear on what to expect from individuals that are making presentations on the program. A student of Imam W. Muhammad, Imam Muhammad says the definition of student, period, in his estimation, is a student is an intellect that is willing to be taught. This specifically is speaking about the definition I'm going to give now is specifically speaking about those that consider themselves or see themselves as students of Imam Deen Mohammed. Imam Muhammad's, and this was taken from a Ramadan session of 2004. Imam Muhammad said, "So we have many of you who are my students. You write down my talks. You try to get all you can get from me, and you take it and put it in your collections, and you make it first among the reading materials. I know you do. You put nothing above it but Allah and His Messenger," meaning the Quran and the life teachings and example of Muhammad, the last prophet, peace be upon him. I know that, and that is what you have to do, and that is what I have to have you do. I know you treasure it. You take it and put it with your collection. You don't lose the harvest. Praise be to Allah. The explanation of what we're presenting as we opened up speaking about New Africa, we want to give that a definition to you also. New Africa is a vision. This is from Imam Muhammad. New Africa is a vision we want to implement, to visualize, a logic we want to apply, a life we want to live. Further on, Imam Muhammad says, this is from a magazine that he tried to start in 1996, but he didn't have the right help with him to make the magazine possible. New Africa is a vision and an ideology designed to have the African American people appreciate the interest in a stronger cultural life built upon the best traditions of our ancestors and leaders in African American history. Part of its realization is the development of business centers designed and owned and operated by African Americans for the purpose of strengthening the sense of cultural life and identity. The expression New Africa as a name for these centers would serve the intent for a richer appreciation and recognition for Africa. And that's very important. That last part, very important. New Africa is a name for these centers, institutions that would serve the intent for a richer appreciation for Africa. The topic today we're going to be speaking about is New Africa Comes to Harlem, and the main focus is explanations and information of the historic address of Imam Muhammad at the Apollo Theater, 2003, addressing his focus was the African American public. Right now, we're going to have three short, the longest will be the first video, which is Imam Muhammad making comments, opening comments at the Apollo Theater regarding New Africa and identity for us. The second will be Imam Muhammad, I believe he will be in Newark, New Jersey, speaking under the banner of the theme for that year, which was New Africa. The theme in jerseys, the title was New Africa. He had one in New York before. It was called The Light Is On, but the one in New Jersey, it was called New Africa. He'll be speaking about more detail about what New Africa is. And the last would be an Islamic convention, also the Imam addressing the importance, the vital importance and seriousness of us as a people, Muslim, African-American group in the association, a community of Imam Muhammad establishing New Africa. So just enjoy the videos and we'll start explaining them after. We'll be right back.
And that says a lot for people who just a little over 100 years ago did not even have freedom in this country. That says a lot. We have made great strides and we have proven ourselves. We have proven our value as human beings in spite of the conditions designed to destroy our humanity or to destroy our human qualities. We have survived. And I was saying to someone this year, not a half an hour ago maybe, that bad circumstances can be so terrible, they can destroy you, make you a terrible person, make you a terrible person. But if you can survive those circumstances, it can make you a superhuman, at least in your soul, a superhuman. And I do believe that the bad circumstances in the history of African American people have made some of us in our soul superhuman. Superhumans. Yes, superhumans. And let me get to our subject now, the subject New Africa. This is an expression that our business people grab, New Africa, and they have opened businesses in that name. New Africa this, New Africa that. But it's not limited to that expression. It's not limited to just the business life. That expression, as we understand it in our circle here, carries the meaning of the whole life. We believe that, like other people who are called, or who have, called the area that they chose to live in Newfoundland, New England, this whole area in the east, north, and northeast area, New England, Newark, New Jersey is near us, and New York, where we are right now, New York. York was in Europe, and still in Europe. But the people who came here, they wanted to bring their life from that land across the waters to this land here, and they wanted it to be their life. So they named it New York, so that they would have an identity with their past life, and it would say to them and to others that we want our life to begin here again, have a new start for our life. And I think more of our leaders will welcome the expression New Africa as they begin to feel or understand why some of us like that expression, New Africa. For us, it means a new start here. We lost Africa, but we can have a new start here. We can have a new Africa here. And I'm sure New York here is better than New York across the ocean. And I hope that New Africa will be better than Africa across the ocean. Because right now, Africa across the ocean is in a terrible mess. And it's not the fault of the white man right now. At one turn in our history, it was the fault of the white people, and include Arabs, Muslims, who went over there and left good influences and bad influences, left up and hurt on the African people. But now it's no more the fault of anybody but the African people, because they are not in bondage to anybody. They're not colonies of other powers. So the fault is theirs. And they have gone after the right thing, after the wrong thing, pardon me. They have gone after the wrong thing, after trying to pursue excellence for their life. They have gone after the wrong thing, as we have gone after the wrong thing, after we got equal opportunity in this country, laws passed to protect our citizenship and our rights of citizenship. We started celebrating, having a good time, playing, laughing, dancing, getting high, and we forgot what God has done for us over all these many generations. God has permitted us to be used and abused more than any other soul of a human being. God has permitted that soul of the African people, African American people, or the African people, to be used and abused. But the God that permits that is obligated to do justice by everything. So in the measure that he has allowed us to be deprived, he must award us, and at least that measure or greater. So when we look at the sad history, those sad turns of events in our life, beginning with the first one, putting us upon slave ships and bringing us here to be slaves as property of others. And following that, at the terrible events in our life, when we look at those events and see the damage to our psyche, the damage to our life as human beings, and the threat to our future as human beings, when we see that and realize that we have overcome that, we're still here, we're still human, and we still perform an very excellent way, men and women, that says to us that God has not yet finished rewarding us. God is not through with us. Freedom and equal opportunity here, that's just the necessary situation or the necessary condition for us to begin doing what God has formed us for. And I say formed us. We are no more Africans like the Africans of the continent of the motherland of Africa. We are new people. We have a new mind. We have a new spirit. We have new sensitivities as a people. We have a brand new default as a race. So we are different. We are different. We are different in the abstract, picture and we are different in the physical picture. We are not abstractly the same. That is, our mentality is different, spirit different, sensitivity is different, aspirations different, humor different. We are not Africans anymore of the motherland. We're Africans of this land. New Africans. New Africans.
Now, if you all are with me in the light, you can come with me to New Africa. It's going to outshine Timbuktu. It's going to outshine Mali, Songhai. It's going to be the brightest light coming up from black coals that you've ever seen in the history of man. Because it is going to be a light after the light of Medina Munawwara under the greatest human person ever on walked the face of this earth, Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Yes, it's going to be the brightest light and the cleanest light, the most perfect light that ever was shined on this part of the world, I guarantee it. And what are we going to have there or here in New Medina? This is a good place to start right here too, in Newark, in the Meadowlands, in Jersey. Good place. Newark, let's change it from Newark to New Africa. Allahu Akbar. All you need is enough political numbers. All you need is enough political numbers and enough financial strength and enough human excellence, and this Nook can be renamed New Africa. Not that that's not necessary, because just like New Jerusalem is not a physical piece of geography, New Africa is not necessarily a physical piece of geography. New Africa is any place, like one learned modern day leader from outside of America he said that anywhere you can establish Islam is Islamic territory. So anywhere we can establish New Africa, this vision we have of New Africa in America, it will be New Africa territory. And it will be Islamic territory. Because New Africa for us is a new chance to establish al-Islam with our own hands. With our own hands. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Yes. We must establish our community life with our own hands.
God gave me a spirit and he gave me a material body to house my spirit. Now give me a material environment to house my mind and my spirit that is African American. We want to see New Africa. We want to see New Africa Islamic theaters. We want to see skyscrapers go up and we build them. We want to see shipping lines and trucking lines and transportation lines all over in our neighborhood. We want to walk outside our house and we want to look at the products in the construction and the industry of our own people, Muslim African Americans in New Africa, on these shores. On these shores. That's our rightful inheritance as the creation of God. God has created us for this. That's our natural inheritance. And we will accept nothing less. Nothing less. They have Spanish Town. They have Chinatown. Damn it, get ready for African American Town, Muslim New Africa.
Yes, we're back. Yeah, so those are the three videos we wanted to or clips we just wanted to present to the audience to give them a feel of what we are leading into from the mind and direct mouth of the one who coined the phrase and built on the phrase and defined the phrase for us as Muslim African Americans, and for African Americans. We wanted you to hear it from his mouth, not just from what we're saying about it. We wanted you to know that he's the one that we are following in that. When I say we, I mean those that are in the association of Imam W. Muhammad, those of us in the community of Imam W. Muhammad that consider him our leader and teacher still. Those that haven't forgotten about what he wanted to establish for us as a people, as a community. The first video, because the advertisement is specifically built around Imam Muhammad coming to the Apollo and some of our involvement in that, we just wanted to explain some of that because it leads into New Africa community life. And a conference, inshallah, we are working to put on for next year in 22. The need for us, me and my brothers and some others, to have the Imam speak at the Apollo Theater. What was the reason for that? My brother Ahmed, the youngest, he's also one of the hosts of the show. We were talking, our brothers were talking, we were, well, we do a little background. We're from Harlem. To some, it may not mean much, but Harlem is not like other places in, say, America. The African American concentrated ideologies, desires, even some frustrations are at their zenith in Harlem. Many things came through Harlem. We know the Black Renaissance was focused in Harlem. Minister Malcolm, the Nation of Islam, the great works of Dr. Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Jr. and others. Harlem. There are a lot of African American leaders, thinkers, institutional builders that came out of Harlem, and Harlem has like a certain spirit to it. And so, we being born there, it just became, I guess, natural that we inherit some of that spirit and some of that drive to have concern for our people. Our parents had the concern for our people. That's why they joined the Nation of Islam in the 50s. So Allah bless us to keep that spirit, to want a message and a demonstration, not just a message, but a demonstration, meaning you're seeing what we're saying, to come to our people for their betterment, for their growth, for their reaching their goal that Allah designed all people for, that we as a people, African Americans, were cut out of for a period of time. So my brother wrote Imam Muhammad a letter in late 2000s because, well, the letter basically explained to the Imam, said to the Imam, the leadership and even a lot of the regular believers present you to the public mostly or mainly you're known as a religious leader, and that's it. They don't know you as an African American leader. And we would like to make that possible with your permission. And my brother wrote other things in there, but that was the gist of it. That we didn't see, and everyone in our community has their own perception of our leader, and that's good. We, again, because of our background, we just noticed that in all of the things except for Imam Muhammad himself, the Regal Theater and other places, Jacob Jarvis, he would put on events. He himself would put events on, promote them, geared toward our people. But when it came to the rest of us, specifically leadership, I'm talking about all the leadership, any person that the Imam put in front of us talked about, their presentation was him just as a religious leader in interfaith that is an African American. You know, he comes from that people, but his biggest thing is this. So that was their push. And so when the Imam heard or read my brother's letter, he called, he had Sister Amatullah Okakpu, may Allah forgive her sins and grant her the highest station in paradise, original pioneer from the Nation of Islam. For those of you who don't know, that's Sister Ndidi's mother out of Chicago. So she called my brother, and the Imam basically talked to him, and he said what my brother was saying was correct. That is what he wanted, Imam Muhammad wanted, to be known as, and Imam Muhammad said in several tapes too, that he doesn't want to just be known as a religious leader, Muslim leader. He also wants to be seen or connected with the leadership of the African American people, of his own people, of our people. And that wasn't being done. It was basically done, I guess, because, you know, we're Muslims, and, you know, depending upon the thinking of the leadership, that's where they wanted to push it, interfaith, Christians, Jews, and so forth. And maybe because that's what they were, mostly were imams. And that was their field of focus. We did have some people in the community that did invite the Imam Muhammad to different ethnic events. And those were basically, they were part of groups, part of events. Most of them didn't tote it. They didn't come up with it. There were a few. But our hope that we wanted to have do is bring the Imam, basically, because we saw it was a disconnect. And we're from Harlem. There's a big disconnect. There was a big disconnect, very big disconnect of Imam Muhammad with our people. Specifically those in leadership, they didn't mention them. Those that were in the black activists things, they saw him as someone separated from our people due to the bad press and other things, other ideas and influences that came into their mind about who the Imam was, specifically during the Nation of Islam and the transition. That's what. The idea of how they saw the transition go really did a disservice to the Imam. And part of it was our fault too, how we presented the Imam to the people. So they, even if they didn't like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they still respected him because they saw him as a person entrenched, loving, respecting, fighting for, defending the rights of our people. Malcolm, that goes without saying, because he was obviously they made it more prevalent. The media made it more prevalent than the leader, Imam Elijah Muhammad. But they didn't see him disconnected, but they saw Imam Muhammad disconnected because of, again, the media not making a big focus. And that's not the media. That's not, you know, I can't fault the media for that. That wasn't what we were there for. But it was mostly us and the African American activists and organizations that just tried to, I guess, separate him from the work of us as a people and the influence and the emphasis he had on us as a people. So we felt that to be a great disservice, and it bothered us a lot. So we, you know, if you can walk down 125th Street, well, it's gotten back to that, but specifically back in the 80s and 70s to the 2000s, down that whole strip from Morningside to, I guess, Fifth Avenue. There's like a strip, and you just hear African Americans talking about different ideologies, different things, and different theories, different religions, different programs, different movements, activism, politics, and they're influencing the people that come by. Tourists, African Americans that come from other countries, wherever it is, other African Americans come from other cities, Africans come from other countries. They're influencing them with their ideas of what they think the African Americans should be doing, and they're throwing out all these different leaders. And Imam Muhammad is not one of the leaders that they're throwing out. And that's in Harlem, that's very bad. That's the home of one of the think tanks of the African Americans, and it was the home of Number 7, Malcolm's place. So Imam Muhammad had to get, in our opinion, had to get back connected with our people. Before I continue, I just want to say this too. The program that we're putting on today was a blessing because it happened to fall. You know, we always do our program on the last Saturday of every month. We missed last month, but we do it every Saturday. If y'all know, if y'all follow me up your talks, it's every Saturday. So it's not like we just jumped out and said, hey, let's do something on your man's birthday, because it's also his birthday. The 30th of October is the Imam W Muhammad's birthday. It fell on that day. So we said, oh, you know, wow, this is a sign. So we'll do something on that day. If it fell on Friday, we may not have done anything. We just, you know, it's, you know, because we're not into it like that. We're not, you know, we're not pushing the, well, we don't want to get into that kind of politics, but, you know, we'd rather you do something on his birthday, physically establish something, if you want to give respect to the Imam, than just, you know, talk about him. But that's, you know, your prerogative. So anyway, this is letting us know that's why the program is put on. It happened to fall on his birthday. So just to jump back, so we decided we wanted to put the Imam. We teamed up. We grouped with another group, Taco Enterprise, which is a security company. Their first suggestion was to just bring the Imam to New York City. Yes. Their suggestion was to have him at Fordham University at a interfaith again, and we were like, you know, no offense, man, we're tired of that stuff. And it's not to belittle interfaith, it's not. But it's like, that's all you bring the Imam for. That's all you bring him for. You know, when are we going to bring him to talk to us? When are you going to bring the Muslim black man to talk to the black man? When are you going to do that? So he said, yeah, we should do that. So I said, man, so we should bring him to the, you know, forget the name of the place, the arena, the big arenas in New York, where I think the Imam Muhammad spoke a couple of times. The Imam Muhammad, yeah, spoke when he was here. I think 160-something Street. But anyway, we wanted to bring him there, but by that time, 9/11 hit, and they were using those facilities as military bases, and they didn't want any kind of religious or any kind of programs to go on in there except maybe sports. So we were like, oh, we can't bring them to those places. So what are we going to do? We have the big spot to bring them in. We didn't want to use Madison Square Garden because that was done already. Which was an excellent event. Jacob Javits was also a good event. Those two were done already. But we wanted to bring them again to the core of where the African Americans are. And when you think about African Americans in New York, you think about Harlem. You know, Harlem is its own world. The Harlem world. You know, it's its own world. You know, we say, you know, we're from Harlem. You know, we know it's in Manhattan, but we don't even call it Manhattan. It's Harlem. So we wanted to bring the Imam there because we knew we wanted to like a concentrated spot and a place where everyone knew if you hear he's coming there, it means something. So we said, why not try the Apollo Theater? What other better spot than the Apollo Theater, the home of all the African Americans? I mean, we know it's for entertainment's sake, but even though the Imam wasn't entertaining, but it's still a hub of where African Americans would come and be relaxed and could hear the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad speak to us. So that's what we did. We designed it. Allah bless us to work with people to help design it. We work with majority of the masjids, the masajid on the East Coast. All masjids, except for one, I'm not going to name the one, allowed us to present at their Jummahs. And one of the talim about Imam Muhammad coming to New York and the Apollo Theater and then how they could help. We were able to go around to colleges and go to the Black Studies the Black Studies group. We went to high schools, speaking to Black student unions, all these things. We went to all the African American organizations that we could think about, every organization we could think about that we wanted to connect with, we went to. Because also in the letter Imam Muhammad said, we've been disconnected from them. We've become like a bourgeois, meaning we haven't been directing our attention to them. Majority of us. There've been small amounts, but the majority have not. So we said this has to be big, very, seen as very important to our people. And someone coming to Harlem and speaking at the Apollo Theater, which is the biggest spot to speak to as African Americans that we could think of, we had to do it. So Allah bless us with the brothers' help with the financing, and we were able to have it free. That's also what we wanted to. We didn't want anybody paying anything. We didn't want any excuse. Oh, it costs so. We don't want. We just want our people to hear what we've been hearing, and what's been giving us life and motivating us. Those of us that do work, those of us that are motivated to be in our field of interest and make progress in that field of interest, then influence others in that field to see what we've been seeing in the religion of Islam from our leader and teacher, Imam Muhammad. So we wanted to have it free, and it was free. Allowed us to be free. And we had to come up with a title that would capture the mind of the African American people that we wanted it to focus on. So we wanted under the theme of New Africa, again, from the Imam. What he said New Africa was, so we said, well, it's got to be New Africa, a new mind, a new beginning, I've got to even put that, new mind, the beginning, a new life for Black people in America. And we use specifically Black people in America. We tuned in on that. We have people say, oh, man, I'm not using that. We should use Black. But we know who we're talking to. We know exactly who we're talking to, how to get their ear, what they want to hear, and bring them in so the Imam can explain what he needs to explain. So we brought that as the focus, and we made sure we titled it The Son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because again, like we said, most people didn't know who he was. We didn't call him Wallace WD, because most people knew him as Wallace. Most activists and organizations, Black organizations, they knew him as Wallace. So we put him as Imam Wallace Deen Mohammed, but connected to the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and that told everybody, oh, that's that Wallace. Okay. And we pictured it with him with Malcolm, him with his father, so that they see a connection, so that they come in and be a little bit, at ease. Oh, well, if they know Wallace, then I guess it's okay. Because some people had apprehensions, again, because of lack of us putting our work in to make him Imam Muhammad acceptable who he is, and who he should be seen as amongst our people, specifically as a leader amongst our people, among other leaders. We don't want to discredit other African American leaders, but we believe our Imam is one of those significant and important and unique leaders among our people, and has solutions for the trials and complexities of our people's growth and setbacks. So we want them to hear him. So long story short, we had I guess you call it Dawa teams, or teams that went out and gave out information, gave out flyers about the event, went into their prospective places, the people that they knew, told them that the Imam was going to be there, who he was, where he was coming. We made up a pamphlet. And one thing we also noticed about is the pamphlets. In all the places that we went to that promoted the Imam, if they had it, I've never seen it. They've never had the Imam as a Muslim African American or African American leader. It's always an interfaith, religious, social, but it's never an African American. They don't have pictures with him with any African Americans. You have him maybe with Mandela, Nelson Mandela, may Allah forgive him his sins, got him in paradise, or other people outside the country, but they don't really have him with African Americans. So it's hard for you to see him with us if he's never seen with us. So in all of our pamphlets, that's all we had him with, was African Americans. Because you do a disservice when you don't connect him with our people, because he is one of us. We believe he's the best picture of us, blessed by Allah, to be in that day and time when he was. And if we understood it, we are responsible for him being how he is. Imam Muhammad said himself, he said, I am who I am because you are who you are. Speaking of the African American group picture, the group life, the group struggle. So yes, so the Apollo, inshallah, so it was packed. Some things went wrong. It was overflow. The other spot wasn't able to set up what we were set up. I'm saying these things because it happened. We have people, in the background. Why don't you talk about that part, brother? So I'm talking about that part. I'm nothing to hide. Everything doesn't go according to plan. So, but it was a blessing to have it there, and the imam came there, and we had the people, there for him to speak to. We saw some people, young brothers, but a lot of young brothers, a lot of college students, people you never saw before. And we told the people that went out to do the dawah, to bring the people to the event. And some of y'all are not going to like it, but this is, we were serious. And, this is just us. And, because we wanted the imam to speak to our people. I said, this isn't a generic, you don't pass this flyer out to everybody. I said, what do you mean, brother? I said, I mean, pass it out to our people only. Oh, but I said, explain. If somebody else wants to ask him, tell them why are we just hanging out to our own people? Don't be afraid. Just tell them why. I'll just leave it at that because some of us are extra sensitive. I don't want to say who we're not going to hand it out to, but that was our pitch. Hand it out to our people like you were back in the first. You wanted to help save our people, grab our people into here, the life-giving message. So do the work to give to our people. So, and it was done, and it was packed. Our people, of course, Muslims still showed up. Muslim other countries stuff, and non-African Americans, but it was maybe you could count them on your hands. The blessing was the majority of us were there, and we invited each other. Some still, wanted to be special, so we invited our, Caucasian religious friend or our Muslim immigrant friend, just to prove a point. I'm Muslim first, before I'm black, and we all have those friends. So, but anyway, so it was a blessing, a big success. And one of the people that we were speaking with, a young brother, I think he was in his 30s, was like the curator for that day. And he said to me, he said, wow, I've never seen this amount of people show up for a black religious leader. I've never seen that in my entire life. So that was a blessing that Allah was able to bless us to do that. And we were praying, we were hoping, and she showed up. We also wanted to, we gave also the Imam Awards, but we also had an award for Malcolm Shabazz, and we asked his daughter, Yasa, to show up to accept the award on behalf of us. And she came up, I think Sister named Sister Adawiya. She used to work at the Schomburg. We thank her again immensely for arranging that, to getting Sister Ilyasa to come accept the award. We call it the Malcolm X Warrior Award, I think we called it. And we presented it to her, and she spoke highly of the Imam. And she said, from what he said about New Africa, and she said, well, I'm a New African. From what he described as New Africa, I'm a New African. And she appreciates, she said, and she said, Wallace was a very honorable man. And that's what we also wanted too. We wanted our people to know the character of our leader, Imam Muhammad, as an African American, as a Muslim African American. We wanted to know from the descendants of one of their, I don't like to say idol, one of their leaders, Minister Malcolm. So that said volumes. His daughter Ilyasa speaking about Imam Muhammad, that he was an honorable person, noble person, distinguished person. She said, when no one else would show up to help to their family after the death of Mike, he said Wallace would show up, and we knew that. And so we wanted the people to know that you should get to know this man, not just as a religious leader, but as an African American leader also. So it was a great success, but Allah blessed it to be a great success. But the main point of that, and that's what the other two videos are shown about, is the remembrance of what Imam Muhammad was, here for, to remind us as an association, as a community of majority African Americans, and our duty from what Allah, as he said, as Imam Muhammad said at the Apollo, how Allah brought us from where we were to where we are, and then we forgot. And that's where we caught all that hell, and some of us are still catching hell. we want to remember what Allah did for us and is still doing for us. As Imam Muhammad said, continue to do for us. He's not finished with it yet. As Muslims, African Americans, we have no choice. See, this isn't maybe. We're bringing this New Africa idea up again as a title, as a work idea, so that we can focus in on what we're supposed to be doing. We know it's community life. We hear that talk about community life, but now it has a title that our leader presented to us, and a title that we hear nobody talking about. No one uses it. They don't say it anymore. It's just, community life, Muslim life. But Imam Muhammad made it specific. And I think it's because we're nervous about why the Imam, I think most of us, the older ones, even some of the younger ones, are a little nervous about being distinguished as African Americans in the Muslim community. Imam Muhammad said in one of his tapes, he said, the second half of his work is this, the African American focus. And he said, he's treaded lightly because he knows our psyche and our sensitivity toward focusing in on just that. We still have that, this is my words, we still have that, as Dr. Joy DeGruy says, post-traumatic slave syndrome in us, working as Muslims, to where we don't think we should have anything that distinguishes us as a group in the religion of Al-Islam. We think we should all be one group, a generic ideology, which that never existed in the history of the time of the Prophet. The Prophet always had clans. They all became Muslim. They were all still tribes and clans. They never broke that up, and he never broke them up. So, so why should we start? And why should we be afraid to be Muslim African Americans? And why should we be afraid to establish our community, as Imam Muhammad said? You have Chinatown, Italy, Russia, wherever they go, they establish, whoever comes from overseas or anywhere to America, to reestablish their life anew in a better environment, a better situation for progress, growth, and to confirm their reality as a people, as a whole people, under whatever religion they're under. They are doing it as that ethnic group. They don't have to say it like we do because we were lost from it and we're trying to regain our reality back in it. They just build it. And in building it, we see what it is because they have a long tradition of it. So Chinatown doesn't say, hey, this is Chinatown. They don't even call it Chinatown. They didn't call it Little Italy, Germantown. Somebody gave it that name because they saw, oh, this is all Chinese. And nobody was offended that Chinese made Chinatown. And if you go to early Chinatown, it was all in Chinese. It was all in Chinese. Or Mandarin, or I don't know, I don't want to blanket the language, but whatever their languages were, it was in that language. And you still came and bought from them. And they didn't have any English for the most part. But we didn't care. We still came there because we respected what they established. So same thing with us. As Muslim African Americans, we have to have a community life of our own. We have to establish, as Imam Muhammad said in the second tape, New Africa is a chance for us to start a new establishment, to establish Al-Islam anew with our own hands, meaning with us, without any outside influence, without any outside credentials, without any outside major support. We want to have it of our own. And as we're building it, as we're building it, we're seeing Allah blessing us to design a way that's uniquely us as a people, coming from this community specifically, because we've taken up the mantle. Allah says we are one community. If we're one community of Muslims, yes, but there's individual groups in that community. If you go to Dearborn, Michigan, if you go to Detroit, there's Yemenis and there's Arabs all over the place, from government down to the person that sweeps the streets. Muslim. You know when you go in there, they're Yemenis. You know when they go across that town, they're Arab. You don't think, unless you don't know ahead of time, but you'll learn there's Yemenis and there's Arabs. They're not the same people. If you come to Harlem, New York, you know there's three different African groups: Nigeria, Senegal, and I forgot the other group. And they all have stores and establishments and masajids, and they only go in their own, and nobody has a problem with it. We're the only ones that have a problem with establishing ourselves as our own entity, as Muslim African Americans. So Imam Muhammad gives us a title that connects us back to Africa. That's another reason why it's so important. New Africa is explaining to people that, yes, we're Africans connected to the motherland. Now we're in what they call the fatherland. But our birth is in the fatherland, not the motherland. We're DNA connected there. Bloodline go back, yes, connected to there. But our reality, as Imam Muhammad explained, is here in America. This is what birth does. This is what makes us different. This is what makes our thinking different, our spirit different, our reaction different. Our cultural performance art different. Our cultural taste different. Our humor different. We're the only people that everywhere around the world, they copy it. They copy us. Now, our problem is we don't benefit from it, but they copy us. That's a sign to tell us we're the leadership of it. Another thing we're afraid to say, that Allah designed us to be the leaders of the free world. Muslim African Americans coming from this experience, because it was an experience and an experiment. Everything. Slavery and even the Nation of Islam. From Professor Farad's idea down to where he hoped it would come to produce the fruit of al-Islam. The first fruit of al-Islam, Imam W, Deen Mohammed, is the fruit of al-Islam. And the fruit comes out of a tree that's been planted with the possibility already in the seed to come out that way. So Imam Muhammad was destined to come out that way. So our inheritance is to come under that reality, which is Imam Muhammad, if that's our leader and teacher. And al-Islam, we say that's our inheritance, great, but we don't disappear in the religion. We're still African Americans. Chinese Muslims, they're still Chinese. Arafat, you still see everyone's different. What unites us, yes, no God but Allah, Muhammad's the messenger of Allah, a human person, mortal, the best person to emulate, but we still have our own unique realities. And we contribute to each other's realities from what our experiences are, and the best of it. So the new Africa, what we're speaking about, why we brought this up again on the day Allah blessed us to be Imam Muhammad's birthday. And again, we're not making a day out of it. We're not making a big deal out of Imam Muhammad's birthday. That's not what he would want. We know that. He didn't even try to push Muhammad, the Prophet's birthday. Some Muslims do. But if it fell on that day, so we're using it as a platform to talk about his vision. We're speaking about his vision for a whole people, African Americans, and then a whole group in that people, Muslim African Americans. We're a group within that people, African American, and we're an association in that group, association and community of Imam W, Deen Mohammed. So we need to have as a focus that title, New Africa, and not be afraid of it. And we believe that what I looked at is this: everything Allah blessed His community with is influenceable, viable. It's almost like sellable. You can package it. That's how potent this thing is. Even the Imam's statements: man means mind, woman is womb of mine. Those are just things you can put on shirts, whatever, and move with it. Ben Bilal is still working on. We had him on the program, a movie for the Honor of Elijah Muhammad. His name, his acronym, THEM. The movie's called Them. That's I don't want to say miracle. Look at how Allah did that. The movie about the man is called Them. The movie about one man is called a group, Them, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You can't make this stuff up. So Allah has shown us, look at that, and that's a small thing. The name of the movie being about the person. But Allah just shown us that whatever we're doing in continuing the vision of what Imam Muhammad wanted us to present is very important. And we should be focused on it. And the biggest vision is community, because that's where we're all destined to go. We can't go anywhere if we're not going in community as Muslims. So when we focus on New Africa, Imam's vision for Muslim, he said, model Muslim African American community life. And this is just our personal opinion. You can say no or yes, but we see a connection to where it's innate, it's natural for us to develop community life, because when we were Christians, we tried it then, and we had great success until the white man then destroyed the black Wall Streets. Because that's all that was. Not even said that's all that was, but I mean, that's what that was. Our black Wall Streets was Christian African American community life, because in every Wall Street situation setting, they had a church set there. They were Christians. There were Christian African Americans, and you knew it. Especially in those, it was easier in those times because everybody, most people were religious. But that was their contribution, and Allah blessed them for establishing that. Do you know they get credit for establishing that? That reality of trying to have a community under God, whatever way they saw it, they get credit for that. So now here we come as Muslim African Americans, succeeding them, inheriting what they designed for us as a people in this association, and we don't do that, then we get cursed. We get punished. We have to do that. There's no conversation about it. As Imam Muhammad said in the tape, it's modeled after the light of Medina Munawwara, community life established by the perfect man, Rajulun Tamin, the perfect supportive man, Muhammad, the last prophet, peace be upon him. So whatever he establishes, we have to fall under that pattern of establishment in our own reality. So our reality is we're Muslims first, because we're born that way. We don't have a choice to be born that way. If we're born, period, we're born Muslim. Everything coming in creation is Muslim because it submits to Allah's will. Kun fayakun, exists and it exists. Exists, kun fayakun, and it exists. Or exists and my will be expressed. Allah speaking. So we're Muslim by fault. There's no way around that. But Allah chose us. Think about that. He chose us to be African American and accept this religion. He chose us. We didn't choose to be African American. He chose us. And I'm glad. I'm not like, oh, I didn't choose to be this or I just happen to be. No, thank Allah. I thank Allah I'm in that ethnic group. And I'm going to quote a thing from our brother, Dr. Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Jr. He said, and when I speak African American, you know, we range from different looks. You know, he said from white as chalk to black as charcoal. So don't try to edge somebody out. Oh, you look so and so. If they're African American, they're African American. You know, somebody said, well, you know, who would want to be African American? I'm being funny. It's like, you know, who would say I'm African just to say it? You know, that takes some guts, you know, to say I'm African American because of the bad condition that people see us in. Who would say I mean, who pretend that they would be that? So, you know, and the New Africa idea is another idea as us as people, New African people. You know, because people come from Africa are African Americans, yes, but they're not New Africans. You know, Charlize Theron, she's from South Africa. She can say I'm African American. African, I know they spell with a K, but you're not a New African. We're New Africans. Birthed here, mentality here, grew here. How was it grown? We grew out of the institution called chattel slavery. So we want to have, again, that is a focus. And again, as we say, we're working with some brothers, very important, special brothers. I was on a Zoom call. I wasn't able to participate much, but I was listening. Man, I tell you, you know, not that I was ever worried, but listening to these brothers, where they are, what they've been doing, I mean, working. I mean, these guys, what I love about them, they talk, yes, but they've been doing things, and they're still doing things, big things, major things, and they're connected to each other. They're not making speeches. Nothing wrong with speeches. But like Imam Muhammad says, see, you can't preach trust to the black men anymore. You have to show them something. You have to materialize something. So part of what we're looking at in materializing is next year, we're working on bringing to where it all started, Detroit, the city of Detroit, actual city of Detroit, the New Africa Conference. And it's specifically designed. I think the title is New Africa, establishing Imam W. Deen Mohammed's vision of Muslim African American community life. And it's focused, laser focused on key things. And one of the key things it's focused on in an indirect way, there's no workshop on it or anything, is marriage. You know, the young people are saying, where can I find? Well, here you'll be able to find. If you are, you know, trying to find someone, it'll be there, guaranteed. It's designed that way. We're designing it that way. It's just so comfortable you just fall into finding somebody, talking, you know, the second nature. The background information about the religion, all that stuff will be there. Laser focused. No hour will be undone with anything frivolous or time wasted. And we're working to have everything done by us, for us, by us. Inshallah, Allah will allow us to, that to be done. You know, we want it to be done by us. We want to bring things back under our care, under our, like Imam Muhammad said, with our own hands. The pride of doing things with us, with our own hands. Hearing our language there only. And it's not a generic conference. It's not a generic conference. It's a conference speaking specifically about the vision of Imam W. Deen Mohammed's idea for Muslim African American community life from his community. It's nobody from the outside, meaning, I'm saying the outside, meaning outside this association, speaking and delivering information. And even that's narrowed down. The people that we're thinking, that we're working on getting, that's narrowed down. And we're bringing God willing people that you can trust. And that's a very important thing. I'm going to end with this. I'm going to look for people having statements on the side, questions. It's so important, the trust factor. That's one thing I also heard on that Zoom conference. The brother said, brother, we can trust you. The brother that was speaking. He said, we're so glad we can trust. We were all young brothers, all young. Everyone, like, maybe one brother was 50. Everybody's under 40 years old. Under 40 years old. That's a blessing. Men, all African American, Muslim, all in our association, all knowing each other. You picture, this is what we're working with. Allah blesses those sincere ones to have sincere people with them or be in that group. I'm not saying whoever's not in that group, they're not. I'm just saying, if Allah is blessed, if you're with sincere people, Allah blessed you to be there. Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the human being keeps company with that which they love best. And if Allah assigns good people to you, then he's working. Allah loves the work that you're doing. Whoever you're associated with, really, that's who you are. That's who you are. Whoever you're following behind or leading, whoever your people that are around you with, that's exactly who you are. If you're not a worker, you're with a leader that doesn't work, or a follower that doesn't work, or a friend that doesn't work, or a wife that doesn't work, or a husband that doesn't work. That's who you are. That's who you're with. That's who you like to be with. But if you love to work, if you're a worker, sincere, then you'll be with that group. Allah will just bring you with that group. And that's what we're working with. But we'll have more about that later on in December. But we wanted to just bring back the idea to the mind of us as a group that don't give up on the community. Even though in our mind it looks like, well, nothing's happening, nothing's doing this, so, you know, but things are happening. Things are happening. And Allah's keeping us out of the main spotlight so that things can happen. You know, you don't always have to always be in the spotlight. We got brothers, you know, man, we always want to be in the spotlight. We always have to say something. We have to be in the spotlight. Look at me. Look what I'm doing. I'm doing something big. Look at me. You know, and then when they look at you, okay, this is all you got? What do you have for me? What are you bringing me to that I can't get from that tape and that tape and that book and that book? What do you have physically established for me that I can go to? I can bring my wife to. I can find a wife. I can bring my kids to. I can find other kids to. What do I have? What do you have that you're bringing me with to? And can I trust you? Do you have people with you that I can trust? That's very important. You can trust. One thing about Muhammad the Prophet, before he became the Prophet, right? They could trust him from birth to death. Same thing with our Imam. From birth to death, you could trust him. That's why people trusted his vision, his movement, whatever he tried to do. Even though we messed it up, they still always trusted him because he was always an honest person. You know, there's a verse in Quran, second verse of Surah Al-Baqarah. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. After Alif Lam Mim. Allah says that is the book. Now, most people translate it, that is the book, and it is guidance sure without doubt, but that's not what it says. It says, that is the book. There's no doubt, right, but no crookedness, no contradiction in it. Allah starts that first. Then he says, a guide. He has to let you know the book can be what? What's Allah saying, underlining? You can trust this book. You can trust this reading. And it says, fihi, and some have translated, there's no doubt or crookedness or contradiction in the reading, in the revelation, nor in the one bringing it, Muhammad, peace be upon him, the prophet. So the perfect reading is in the perfect person. Allah would never send the perfect reading to a person that's contradictory. Just like Allah would never give us a leader that's presenting what the religion says is supposed to be, that has a contradiction in their leadership. Imam Muhammad has a perfect track record. That's why he's still our leader. He has a perfect track record. When you go back and check his track record, no contradiction, no crookedness in it. That's why he's our leader. And if he says the vision is this, then the vision is that. And it's a natural vision, again, set upon the logic of Medina Munawwara community life as Muslims. So we don't have any, I should say, doubt that we're supposed to be doing this, you know, and not to say that people aren't working on community building. That's not, we don't want to say that either. We're just saying we want to hold the conference to bring the best minds together, to people to work in a better capacity to show, well, guess what? I'm doing this too. And the only time we want to hear from the group is when they come back saying, here's what the progress is. That's it. There's nobody lording over anybody, nobody walking behind anybody, nobody, hey, what are you doing? Nobody bringing us up. We just want to hear, what's the progress report? Wherever you're at. And we want to do it where we started from, in our origin, Detroit, Michigan, the home of the Black Bottom, home of the original founder of the Nation of Islam, where it all started. So that's where we're starting from, just as a sign. It's a symbol, as a sign. So let's know we're starting from the origin, and the origin starts in truth and purity. Imam Muhammad said this, and this, you know, we're very transparent, you know. Check the track record of people that are putting this on. You should check the track record of people that are putting this on. If you find contradictions, say, I'm not with that. Then you weren't supposed to be with it. And it won't be successful the way we want it to be successful. If there's contradictories in it. Now, let's say you won't have people trying to mess up, but that always happens. But, you know, you want to be so open with following truth and conviction that you're willing to just say, you know what? If you don't think, then don't show up. Imam, and here's where I'm getting this from. Imam Muhammad. Now, I'm not going to say where it was from. When I say it, y'all know where it's from, and y'all reminisce on why he said this. Imam Muhammad was coming to a certain area, I think once a month for a while. And they were having problems. That area was having problems with one of the imams, big problems. And here's what Imam Muhammad said. And this took trust and faith that, you know what? The leader says, we do. He says, he said, I'm coming out every time this person calls me because y'all keep coming out. He said, every time he calls me to come out, I come out because y'all around here. I'm coming out for you. He said, but if you show me that he's really a problem, that the problem that you say he is, by not showing up, even though I'm invited to come, I won't come back out, even if he invites me. Now that took some real courage, and it was a heavy strategy. I'm not going to say who showed up, didn't show up. We didn't show up. You know, I already know my mother. So there were a lot of us that didn't show up because he said what he said. But people kept coming out. I want to miss the teaching. They didn't get the point. All they had to do was to come out, to not come out one time. I don't know how big the event was. And the imam would look in the audience and would have told that imam, brother imam, you ain't got nobody here to talk to. So I'm not coming back out here. We just took one time. But you know us, he knew the sentiments of the people. And that's still going on now. They know the sentiments of the people. So they'll present something to you about the man, with the man, whatever it is, dead or alive, and your emotion will garnish you to say, I gotta support, I gotta go back. This makes sense. When you already know, well, this is not going anywhere. We don't really need this. But it takes conviction to do that. So we're saying the same thing. We're going to ask certain people to help. If you don't want to help, you don't have to help. Allah bless us the way Allah wants us to be blessed. And anything that you're doing on your own, the same thing. That's how Imam Muhammad was. He didn't, whoever he asked him to help out, that was Allah. Basically, Allah saying you don't need that person. So we want to be the same way, because this is serious. A lot of y'all have, I don't have children. A lot of y'all have children, young children. Where are they getting their wives and husbands from? What are you setting up for them for that? I'm doing business deals. Okay. Are they part of the business deals? What environment are you setting up for them to come to, or anything? Oh, y'all always doing some kind of conference. Yes, because it's the perfect spot, because that's how most of us met our spouses. If you have a better way, then do it and invite people to that. And then not just for spouse pickings, but also to help us with focusing on what we're supposed to be focusing on as a group, as a unit, as a shura, as a coming together with the best minds and the best people. We want to have the best people there to work with one another. And it's not just about having that conference, it's about getting the idea of establishing community life, how it can be established, what we're looking at, not being afraid to tackle it. Like I said, we had Christians in the 20s, 30s, before the 20s, establishing whole, I'm not talking about little towns like this. They had airplane strips, shipping lines, bus lines, factories, Christian African Americans. You don't think Allah blessed them? Even when they got torn down, you think Allah is blessing them? When we established New Africa, you don't think we should have in every New Africa town that we build a little plaque, not a little plaque, but a plaque saying the new Black Wall Street, giving credit to our Christian brothers and sisters that came before us, that laid the foundation here in America? You don't think we should do that? Give them respect? That's an honor, because they sacrificed. So we have, again, we don't have a choice. That's what Jummah is, to remind us Muslims that we're one community. We have to have community life. And we have to be able to build that with our own hands. Everything from the floor up. And you can't be a person that just talks and has never picked up a broom. Workers know workers. So we're all in it for the long haul. So we're going to be calling on certain people to help with this event. And inshallah, this will sprout out to bigger and better things. And again, work with people that you can work with that are about establishing things that are building toward our new Africa life. You know, this is not just a slogan. You can make it a slogan too. That's good. It helps. But this is about community building. And we have that name. So just like the Italians are happy to say this is Little Italy, the Germans, little Germantown, little Polish town, Chinatown, little Japan, they got little Afghanistan, they got little Korea, they got little Vietnam. They have every ethnic group has their reality, government to reality established somewhere. The only people that don't are African Americans. We're the only ones that you go in that are afraid to establish African American places. We want everyone to be there. Everyone's got to be in our town to make it real, or to make it legitimate or trustworthy. And what happened to the Vietnamese? What happened to the Polish? Are there any Afghanistan showing up here? Muslims, especially when we become Muslim. Aki, the masjid is too black. Where are the Afghanis? You know us. We look around. We're the Afghanis. They're in their own masjid across town. That's where they're at. Building communities, influencing government. That's where they're at. You show up there and they're wondering, why is this black here? Why he not? You lost, brother? Assalamu alaikum. You lost? I'm with you. Okay, we can call it the Adan if you want to. You know, that's be allowed. You call it the Adan. Don't you want dignity of your own dignity? To show up to say, look what I built, to tell your children, look what I built. Why do you think the Jews are so, the young Jewish children, they're so excited, especially in New York? Because their parents go out and show, look what we built, look what we're building. This is us, this is you. Later on when I pass, this is you. We want to have the same thing. Muslim African Americans. This is Al-Islam being established so that our people can see a clean glass next to any dirty glass. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, don't talk about the dirty glass, put a clean glass next to it. Now they have a choice. If you don't have a clean glass, you don't have a choice. You have to drink the dirty glass. But now you have a clean glass. And all these struggling comedians and actors and whatever it is that are struggling, that are hiding, that are, siding with people that we don't want to be siding with. We build ours, but don't. Now here's my point too. Stop being scared to say, well, we can't say nothing until you build. Stop it. Stop that. That was never the goal of anyone. Muhammad the Prophet never said that. He said, if you know one ayah, go out and preach it. So if you know something, go do it. Don't say, I got to be quiet until I build. No, you be quiet. But don't lecture anyone else until they can't say anything about correcting anyone in the media, wherever it is, because they're doing something against the religion. That's not so much a sin, but like it makes religion look bad because of what they're doing, or making our people look bad because of what they're doing. You can say something about it. Just have to be diplomatic. Argue with them in the most diplomatic and precious ways. And attractive ways. Your argument should be attractive. So we want to look at this as New Africa. The point of Imam Muhammad coming to the Apollo was the point of reconnecting him with his people, our people. That was the main point of that address, was to connect him, the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the one who built the Nation of Islam, who influenced I don't want to hear any fake stories. There's not an African American or African from the diaspora that hit America that did anything of major contribution that didn't join, listen to, or was influenced by the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Facts. And quiet as kept, the ones that were after he passed that were doing bigger, better things, they listened to Imam Muhammad on the low. If you listen to the language and see what they produced, they were listening to him. Our problem is we're afraid to connect with them. We let immigrant Muslims that don't know the situation, they're not evil, to tell us how to reach our people. And we come dressed and look like them, and we wonder why there's no progress. Be who you are, who Allah bless you to be, in building your community life, sustaining your community life. And don't be afraid to have a neighborhood for miles and miles and miles with just you and me, my face, you and our hair, you and our complexions. Don't be afraid to have that. Just us. Don't be afraid. If you are, go build your neighborhood wherever you want to build it. With you can build your multicultural neighborhood, your multi-ethnic neighborhood. Nothing wrong with that. We're building New Africa, Muslim African American community life. The focus is Al-Islam because that's what gives it its reality. That's what brings back the reality of Muslim African American. It gives it a foundation. It gives us a focus. It gives us a context on how to work and build. And it also gives us a meaning of how to know what to accept and what to reject of our own life as African Americans, what to accept and what to reject. Because without a barometer or a foundation to come back to as African Americans, we will bring in any and every kind of thing. Just the fact that it was done by an African American or even an African. We take on African dances that we don't have no idea what it's about. We just do because it's in Africa. And a lot of that stuff we can't accept. Some private dances, we make it public. That's for you in the bedroom. That's not for you in the ballroom, in the public. But we don't know that. So music is not for you here. Don't you know our music will change? Our movies will change. Our reading will change. Our writing will change. The way we educate people will change if we establish Muslim African American community life under this particular leadership, this particular insight that has a track record that doesn't break. You find no crookedness or backtracking or problems within it, character-wise or speech-wise. Muhammad the Prophet was known as honest, al-amin, as sadiq, truthful. So it was his character that was known before his speech. Allah doesn't pick people because of their speech. You think Allah picks people because of their speech? Where's that in the Quran? Nowhere. He picks them because of their character. Anybody can speak. Anybody can be a parrot. Anybody can copy. It's your character what Allah looks at and picks you for. That's why Imam Muhammad was picked as our leader. He had a great character. And what did Imam Muhammad say? He said, give me a great future. And what's the future of him? It's the same future for all people. Community life, community living. For us, it started when Imam Muhammad, for us, I mean, but I'm saying for us, the focus was when he came to talk to us as a people and explain what we're supposed to be expressing. If you have to wait till after the Imam passed to ask somebody else, what did Imam Muhammad mean about that? And you were here in it, there's a serious problem, especially if you're an old person. If you're in the 50s, come on, man. If you're a teenager, that's cool because you weren't paying attention. But if you're 50 years old, you have to wait till the Imam passed to ask somebody else, what did the Imam Muhammad mean about that? And you have all the books and lectures and the talks, you went to all of them, and somebody else has to explain it to you. You weren't really paying attention. So the leadership is still Imam W. Deen Mohammed. We have no leader. The community association has no leadership. Individual leadership, meaning to lead the group, except Imam Muhammad right now. That's the thinking. Until Allah blesses a natural nurturing disposition to come from someone in the group that we see has a track record that has no contradictions in it from birth to where the person is, man or woman. That's what we're looking for. Character first, then the knowledge. We're not looking for knowledge first and character because we're following the sunnah of Allah. Allah has a sunnah. We try to follow. We follow the sunnah of Muhammad the Prophet, but the Prophet follows Allah's sunnah in his innate movement. So the Prophet was picked because of his character first. Then Allah put the speech in him. See? So when you have the right character, you get the right speech. Because we are hundreds of people that have the same speech, pick up the tape, and they put together. It sounds old. But when we look at the character, we look at the contradiction in the character development, we have a problem. We don't have to hate you. We just say, brother, you should just stand. You should just, sister, you should just, don't bring attention to yourself. Because when you bring attention to yourself, people are looking and asking, this person? Why do you, and eventually, the more you talk, the more you incriminate yourself. That's why it's good to just sometimes keep quiet and work in the back. And if you're meant to be, Allah will bring you up. If not, someone else will bring you up. And that someone else will bring you up will be the person you're supposed to be brought up with, because you're not supposed to be brought up. So community life is what we're looking for again. That's all we're looking for as a goal in this life, community life. The one soul and the many souls. One soul is established, all souls are established. We'll never be satisfied until we have Muslim, African American community life. And we have to show our people what that looks like so that they can have African American community life. We have to do that. There's no question about it. The religion says so. Allah addresses it, Muhammad the Prophet addresses it. Yes, we're Muslims, but we're also still African Americans. So I thank you again for allowing me to address you and speak on the topic of New Africa and the importance of Imam Muhammad being connected to us as a leader in our freedom movement. He's a leader in our freedom movement. We need to be connected with it. So whatever field of interest that you're in, he should be in there being expressed in your field of interest. Even if you can't even always say his name, it should be known in that field that that's who you are in association with. Very important. Never disconnect yourself from your people. So what we want to do now is just open up, if anybody has any questions or statements they want to make in the chat box it says we have a brother, Muhammad Ba'ith, as a guest. I guess he wants to say something. I guess he can bring him on to say something more to
Assalamu alaikum.
what's on? How you doing, brother, man?
How's everything?
Find like
I
yourself.
just grabbed me something to eat real quick. You caught me off guard. But I remember that when the Imam was at the Apollo, that was an excellent event. And I agree with you. You know, we have to reintroduce, I guess I could use that word, reintroduce you, ma'am, to the community, because I guess some people that I've talked to, I've been a member of this community since 1972. I got my ex from Chicago. You know, I stayed in when the man was, he first came in 1975. And I've seen all the different changes that he made, the initiative. When he had to, he was doing the interreligious, interfaith with the Focolari. A lot of people was asking, well, how come he's over there with the Catholics and this, that, and the other? I said, you know, that's part of his mission. That's a big part of his mission, you know, not just to focus on us. But I guess with Farrakhan doing what he was doing, people thought that he had abandoned his father, which he really didn't. Because a lot of what Elijah Muhammad said, he says his job wasn't to teach us religion, his job was to clean us up.
Right.
The one coming behind him would teach us religion, and that would be the Imam.
Right.
And I reemphasize that every time, you know, because I know you see me around on the trains and everything. I'm living up here in the Bronx because I got divorced, you know, so I had to be with my children. That I couldn't leave them to be, you know, to fend for themselves by themselves. But I decided to stay up here in the Bronx. You know, it's pretty nice. But I like what you said about him being perceived as a religious leader, which he isn't. I mean, he's African American. He's a sense maker. You know, we just have to regenerate our efforts.
Right.
I'm with you. I support you. That's all I got to say.
Assalamu. Yes, sir. Like I said, you know, like you said, definitely. We're not saying, just in case, because we know how this goes with us as a people. You know, we try to put down stuff that we want to put down, bring us something we want to bring up. We know he's a religious leader, as Imam Mohammed said. He said he doesn't want to just be known as that, and that's what most of us kind of just want him to be, because we don't want to be African American. Even though we became Muslim, a lot of us became Muslim hoping that African American identity would be wiped away. It would be washed out. It would just be a generic, a new entity as Muslim and blend in with everyone else. But we saw that wasn't the case. That's not natural. That's not the fitrah. That's not the natural disposition of a human being to just blend in with everyone else. So Imam Muhammad had to make plain on many occasions, I'm African American too. So, you know, like he brother said, we have to reintroduce our leader to our people again in the best way. And the best way to do it is not just a conversation. The best way to do it is through you being established in something and then talking to people about, you know, or showing people. Where'd you get this idea? Well, so blah, 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 blah. Prior Cornwell, I'm still with Muhammad. I got this from so and so. Oh, wow. See, when you're established in something and you start talking, then it's important. When you're not established, you have to make a big production of something. Then that production is big, but you're really not. They're not going to notice you don't really have anything. So we want, you know, especially the young people, they're not excited about speeches, conversations, talks. That's why if you look at yourself making speeches in the audience, you'll see nobody's really there. No audience, there's no young people really there unless they're forced to come there. I remember this guy was speaking. It was a Muslim convention, and some young brothers, Rahman Khan, and they were there. Some other young brothers, you know, they actually had to drag us, not us, the young people in there to hear this guy talk. They don't want to just hear talk, you know, especially if you don't relate to them. You know, they want to see you've done something with Imam Muhammad's teachings. Because if you haven't done anything, why should they be excited about it? Now, a sister brought up what happens, and this is in the chat, what happens that now that many African-American Muslims are second and third generation? What happens is the same thing that we're trying to do right now, because we are first generation. My group is first generation Muslim. I guess my brothers and sisters, they have children, so they're second generation, and then their children have children. When they have children, they have third generation. The focus is still the same. It's still community life. It doesn't change no matter how many generations you go down. What the focus is right now is you're having to do what really every other community of ethnic people did, whether they're religious or not religious, is they have to have an idea of what they want for their life and get together with others that are like them, even if it's just a small family, even if it's just two people, and start there, building what you're supposed to be building to reach that community life. If you're in a city or a place where there's not that reality and you have to leave, then you have to save up to leave. If where you're at is not productive, it's not going to be overnight that you can get out of that situation. And if you tried everything, you can't get out, you have to find a way to connect with someone to move out of that position. Because people have been moving out of places, they've down to Atlanta, some Texas, some of that. They've been moving out of places where they've been stagnant and they can't find a way or an avenue to build their community life. So wherever you're at, if you know what you're supposed to be doing, what you're supposed to be connected with, you have to find those people that are connected like you are to start where you need to start to build community life. First, be educated in your religion. That's always first. Second, find people of like character, like yourself, and start to build from there. Go to places you can, which is it's easier now because you have, y'all been blessed to come with the internet and the different organizations, places to go, masajid. You can pick and choose and say, well, this people are progressive, this brothers seem progressive there. Let me try them. So you have a better way than we had. We had to actually just wait for conventions to get together to see each other. Not to say the conventions are a bad situation, but your way of doing it is a little bit easier because now you can look up different people, organizations, groups to find out what best fits you. And the best way to start, again, is what is your interest? See, our problem we had in the past is that we all, especially the men, we all thought we were supposed to be imams. So too many of us kind of lost our niche on how to be what we're supposed to be. If you want to be an artist, then be that artist, and you allow open up doors for you to meet other artists like you in our community. You don't have to go outside; it'll be in our community. Not to say you can't find outside; they'll be in our community, and they'll have your same lights. But find your interest first. In the Bible and the Quran, it said Moses struck the rock, and out of it sprung the water, the sensitivities and the direction, and the spirit, the hit. All the leadership to know where they had to go. Once that well came out, once the water came out and hit the people, they knew where they're supposed to go because that was their interest. So same thing with you. Third, fourth generation, it's hard, yes, because you have the older generations are kind of stuck in what they went through or are dealing with, they're dealing with. But there's still those among them that aren't. Find the ones that are. I mean, it's going to be a little hard. That's just the way it is now. You're going to have to search and find those people that you're looking for to get what you're supposed to get out of them, to get where you need to get to. But again, first find your interest. First find your interest. Once you find your interest, open up everything else. That's the best we can tell you. Right now, I'm not going to say go to this masjid, go to that masjid, because we don't know how it is in there. We don't know if you're going to be comfortable there. But I do know if you're in an area that's not conducive and not growing and not progressive, don't stay there, work to move out of there, but to find somewhere that will accommodate what your interests are for you in building a community. Even if it's just the beginning, even if it's just a neighborhood. If that's enough for you right now, then just try to find that. Try to just find that at least. It's going to be, we shouldn't lie to each other. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. But it's going to be easier than what we had, the generation I'm talking about, my generation. I'm 55. My generation, gone. I'm just going to say it straight like that. My generation is gone. To find, it was, that's another whole story. I don't want to get into a long story trying to find my ideal. But yeah, it's hard. And I know it's hard now too. My brother, my youngest brother, Ahmed, his children, he says, They didn't even grow up in the masjid. So they really don't know a community life, quote unquote, like we kind of do. It wasn't, it wasn't really community life, but it's like a community, a life in that small community of Muslims. So they didn't have that. Most of them went to public school, so they didn't know Muslim school life. The outside influences are heavier now. So it's going to be a challenge. But if you focus on your interests and try to find like people of that, Allah will bless you with that. Sometimes they're not going to be in your family. A lot of times, unfortunately, I'm blessed to have my family is like, me. We stuck with what our mother told us. So, we're all with the Imam. We're all Muslims. Allah bless us. Allah bless us. That's what it is. Yes, our mother was special, but she was special because Allah blessed her to be that way, to be consistent. It wasn't my mother was super strong and all that. No, it was Allah. Because what she had to go through in Harlem, 125th Street, Grant Projects, hard. But Allah blessed her and Allah blessed us. So don't think Allah won't bless you, but it's going to be hard. But if you stay consistent and focus on what your interest is and not making the religion hard and looking at people that, what do you call that? Looking at people that have an excellent track record. And this is I keep stressing this is very important. Because the community right now, there's no leader. We know that there's people coming up, saying the leaders, trying to be leaders, whatever. What you want to look for, don't worry about that. Look for people with your sensitivity, your liking, your track record. See, that's something we'll look at too. Look at your own track record and try to find people in that perspective and work in that area. I'm not going to give you some philosophical one-line statement to look, he's very heavy. No, I'm going to give you the truth. That's the best I can give you because that's what the prophet did. He was one way, right? He was connected with the Hunafa, the upright people that were like that, and they found each other before he became the prophet. Look at the history of the prophet. We can look at that history and say, well, that's what Allah did for them. Allah will do it for us. He first had to find a group that was like him. And that group did good things. And because that group, the people in that group were similar, Allah blessed them to find each other and stay with each other. So when Muhammad received revelation, they came with him and made his job a little easier in winning over people and establishing the religion. But it started with him having an interest in something and having a consistency in something and finding that like connection with what he had as a human person and not being afraid of being Muslim and African American because we're both, if you are both. So we want to look for those kinds of things, and check people's track record. I keep saying that, and I'm not going to back from that because that's going to hurt you if you ignore people's track records in everything, and trust is very important. Find people you can trust. Parents have problems with their children because you broke the trust with your child. Children have problems with their parents because the children you broke the trust with your parent. Husbands, wives, same thing. You broke a trust. The big problem comes when we break each other's trust. Imam Muhammad had a problem with the community because the leadership broke the trust with him. And some of the people in the community broke a trust with Imam Muhammad. We only wanted to be around when the Imam was around, not around each other. My father joined the Nation of Islam because he loved to be around the people. They loved to be around him. It was about trust first. The common person trust. You can't love Imam Muhammad, you don't love each other. Like the prophet said, how you gonna love the prophet, you don't love each other? How you gonna love Allah, you don't love each other? You don't love yourself. Impossible. So find your interest. Work slow. Start small. Work bigger. Like I said, the group that I listened on the Zoom, I don't know how many it took to find these people. They knew each other, but now the group is getting, the brothers are getting bigger. But it's an excellent group. And their track record is trustworthy. And Allah will place you with that. Make your prayers. That's part of it too. It's not just, work. It's making the extra prayers, asking Allah to help bless you to be in that group, that circle that Allah will bless you to be with, to work what you have to work with. And again, you have it harder in a way because there's more influences coming at you. But you should still work to have that vision of community life. That's your goal, community life. The idea of the man and the woman in the religion of Islam is your goal. Know what that is. That helps in that reality. But knowing what the man and woman is without having a trust with each other is not going to work out. You can be the provider, breadwinner. She can be the mother, teacher of the kids. The kids can be. But if I don't trust you, it's not going to work. If Allah shows you something in that and you ignore it, you try to run away from it, make excuses about it, you can pretend all you want to. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. That's just not how Allah designed it. Allah says, stand up for justice, establish justice, stand up for justice, even if it's against your own self. So if you find someone, your friend, your wife, your husband, your kid, that when something arrives as you're looking for your ideal situation to better yourself, I'm speaking the second generation, and something happens and they can't apologize for what happened or something, then there's a problem there. And if Allah shows it to you and you ignore it, then you just keep having that problem. Just move to something else. So we want to have that cohesiveness, but it starts with an interest in yourself first, and in your specific interest in what you want to see come from yourself as a community, as a contributor in the community. That's another thing too. In the community building, we're all contributors to it. Like the Prophet, peace be upon him, was the brick that was laid into the building of the brick wall, he said, of the prophets that made that the wall solidified, complete. We're the same in the community. Find your niche in building a community, but have an interest. Don't be a generic person. I'm not saying everybody has to have a profession, but everyone has a specialty Allah blessed them with that the community can benefit from. And Allah will bless you with a connection, guaranteed. If Allah gives you something special and genuine and honest, and you disrespect it continuously, because it's not just overnight, continuously, then Allah removes that and gives you, Allah says he gives you a Satan for your companion. That's your friend. Because you didn't want the good. You were saying you wanted the bad. Imam Muhammad said something, a brother told me, I was like, wow, that could be possibly true. He said, unfortunately, some of us have gotten into, I'm paraphrasing some of the conversation, some of us have gotten to a position where he said, we always have to have a little, what did he call it? Yes. He said, we want sin, a little bit of it with us always. We can translate it, you always want a little bit of crime or always a little bit of problems with you. It's like we're not content unless we have a problem happening. We can't be whole unless there's a problem with us. So some of us just look for that. We go out and try to find a problem in it. And we're not satisfied until we can find, even if it's a little problem, a little bit of hell. That's what he said. He said, some of us just want a little bit of hell with us. We keep a little bit of hell with us. And we function that way. So stay away from those people. But work with your best interest at heart. Concentrate, if you're in this community, on what Imam Muhammad said. Yes. Work with, try to work with, first work with yourself, then work with people that are like you. Every other, and I keep stressing, every other ethnic group works with their own first. Then they work with other people. We do the opposite. We run out to find other people, then work with us. I can't work with black. Well, that's how we are. The black man is this, the black woman's like that. Yeah, well, that's us. The black man is too so-and-so. The black woman ain't, he thinks she's this. The black woman thinks she's that. Yeah, that's how we are. And Asians will say the same thing about each other, men and women. You don't think so? Go talk to them. Go talk to a Polish man and a Polish woman, and they'll tell you, well, the Polish man, they'll tell you. We think everything is okay because we're looking on this side, So, but what we want to have for us is something special. Talking to each other, working with each other, and that's good. Thank you. Commentary, thank you. And we try. What we're doing is we're trying to see. it's it's not comical, but it is, because it's hard to tell people that we're a group of people that went through the same experience for over 400 years. And we've developed a loving, caring, comforting spirit about us. Yet, majority of the time, it never stays with us. It always goes somewhere else first. It never stays with us. And that's what Al-Islam helps come to do, brings it back to us as a people. It reminds us, take care of yourself first. Save yourself first, then your family. How? Be conscious of God. How does that help? God created you in a specific way, in a specific manner, in a specific mode to reach a certain specific destination. How do I save myself? By staying under the guidelines of how He designed me. It's really that simple. The Muslim is one who consciously stays on the pattern Allah designed for him to stay on. That's what saves us. Save our own self. We don't have an outside savior. Imam was trying to get that through our thick heads for years. You know, we want to have a place for us, for generations coming after us, as the sister was putting up. What about the second and third generation? You know, that's just what we have to do. We have to work to establish, at whatever level we're at, we have to work to establish whatever level we're at to build something for ourselves and for them that came after us. We have to stop saying, I'm crap, I'm nobody, I'm nothing, I work for so-and-so, so-and-so. But how are you going to work for someone if you're garbage, if you're finished? You can have concern for your children and people after you, the generation, but you can't say, I'm not working for myself. The Prophet never said that. You're working to establish yourself. Because when you establish yourself, that which you establish can get carried on by others. Imam Muhammad established himself first. That's where we're able to benefit from what he has done, and not just his speeches. See, we keep thinking it's just language. Yes, that is part of it. That's a big part of it. But do you know people actually met Imam W. Deen Mohammed? They met him physically. They talk to him physically. They interact with him physically. And when they leave him and they talk about him, they don't just say, what's an interesting mind? That is a beautiful man. That is a wonderful human being. That is a wonderful man. That is a great Muslim. And the African Americans that he meets, y'all that don't want to know about, they say, you know, that's a cool brother. That's a real good brother. Because his character was sincere. Imam Muhammad said, you know how Malcolm got so many people to be around him and connect with him and listen to him? He said they felt the sincerity of him preaching. But after he preached, this is the part we don't want to hear, because this is what most of us don't want to do. That the preaching wasn't what got Malcolm his respect. Yeah, him telling the white man off and telling the white establishment off and telling the bourgeois, yeah, that was okay. But did you know him and Captain Joseph, Yusuf Shah, and some others, but mostly those two, would walk the streets of Harlem and talk to people and get information from people and give advice to people and help people? So they physically met Minister Malcolm after he came down from the stand he was speaking, preach from. That most of us just want to talk from and speak from. We don't want to meet anybody. We don't want to talk to anybody. We just want them to listen to us, and we go home and become, you know, praiseworthy. Put on a costume and then, you know, go out and come back in and have people praise us, and then go back home and have people write about us, which nobody really is, except for the people that are around us. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we want to be involved more with our people. I have to stress this, in our field of interest. Don't try to be like Malcolm and Captain Shaw and Adam Clayton Powell, also Adam Clayton Powell Jr., if that's not your persona. If you're an introvert, but you're a tech person, work in that field of interest. Connect with other tech people. That's how you're going to progress and promote this. Everybody's not going to be any man, a da'i, a speaker, orator. That's not going to be everybody's specialty. I like acting, writing, art. I love those things. That's my field of interest. That's me in my royal robe, as Professor Barad said. Wait until you see me in my royal robes. So you should be getting into your royal robe, your interest that allows you to grow and progress and build what Allah gave to you, for you to be able to express something of your own self to influence the people. So with that, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to, well, I also want to hear from, if anyone on the New Freedom Exchange wants to say anything, but I first want to thank everybody before I forget. I want to thank the brothers and sisters from New Freedom Exchange, Sister Marsha, Brother Hassan, Brother Mujahideen. I want to thank my brothers for doing the flyer, my brother Ahmed for coming up with the idea of the program. We thank the believers that are listening to us. Thank all the people that put in all these statements and that made comments. And we hope to see y'all, inshallah, soon. We're working on our January program. Inshallah, that'll be soon. Definitely December. More than likely, we'll probably be just doing the program for the New Africa Conference on this New Africa Talks. So November, we're working on a few ideas. Inshallah, we'll have somebody, some people speak in November on a certain topic that we're thinking about that needs to be addressed in that fashion. But yes, we thank you for listening. We pray we say things that were informative, helpful. We want you to have courage. Imam Muhammad says, have courage to reach the conclusion of things, to bring things to conclusion. Have courage first. Don't be afraid of the criticism of the criticizers. Don't be quick to follow just because people sound nice. Even this, check people out. People should have nothing to hide. And if you have something, they question you on it, don't lie about it. Because one thing you forget, you got it. My mother said she never liked lies because it takes too much to remember the lies you told. And remember, you've been, so just be honest. Even if you messed up, be honest. And if you should not be where you're supposed to be, just stop. It's all right. Just stop. You'd be better off. But some people just can't do it. Some of us just can't do it. But again, thank you. Thank you for listening. We pray Allah bless us with great success. I pray the brothers that they're doing great work, that are meeting up, doing a great job, that are now working, coming together wherever they are. Some are in Detroit, some are in Atlanta, some are in New York. They're all over the place. Sisters too. Our community is building. It's slow. We're working together. It's slow. Don't panic. Don't panic. Allah is with us. Allah is blessing us. It's just slow. Get into your field. Work your area. Find the truth. Look at the truth in things. Be sincere. And Allah bless you to come with the proper connection. The things that you have in common with people, Allah bless you with. But again, our focus as Muslims and as African Americans, not just Muslims, is community life. Life living amongst each other, being responsible for everything from satellite dishes to planting seeds to grow tomatoes. Everything should be in the hands of people that look like you, come from your experience, your tradition. The best of us, not the worst of us, not the ones that have contradictions, the best of us. Find the best of us. We want to take, again, like Imam Muhammad said, a new chance to establish al-Islam on these shores with our own hands, with us first. Didn't say people can't help, but we're not looking for outside help. When we want it, we'll ask. Right now, we're looking for inside help and support from those that are honest and sincere and the best of us. And we want to work together, shura, bainahum, mutual consultation with the best of us. That's who the Shura is. Shura is working with the best minds and the best character among the people to bring out the best benefits for the people. It's not an elite group or a group. It's just groups of people or persons that people take consultation with to get the best results for the group picture. And our group picture, if we have to drill into our head every week, is the new Africa. New Africa, Muslim, African, American community life. That's what we're saying. Those of us that are in the association, community, under the leadership, students, followers of Imam W, Deen Mohammed, the son of the late leader and teacher of the nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So thank you again. Peace be upon you. I thank New Africa. Yes, I'm sorry. If I didn't thank the new Freedom Exchange, if I didn't thank them again, I thanked them individually, but I want to thank as a group, New Freedom Exchange. They're doing an excellent job on not just hosting our program, but other programs too. Support them. Thank you again. Peace be upon you. May Allah bless us all. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you.